Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. On Fridays, we talk about the product owner role in Scrum. We talk about patterns and anti-patterns that relate to ours and the team's collaboration with the product owner. And we've also put together a course to help you navigate that relationship. There's 18 modules, nearly 8 hours of tools, techniques, videos, handouts, presentations you can use to help you and your team work better with your product owner. The course is available at bit.ly/coachyourPO. All lowercase, all one word. That's bit.ly/coachyourPO. And now, on to the show, the Product Owner Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our TGIF and Product Owner episode. And this week we have with us Priyanka Keswani. Hi, Priyanka. Welcome back.
Hello, Vasco.
So, Priyanka, on Fridays, we dive into the deep of the product owner role. It is indeed a very deep, a very dense role, and it forms potentially a great partnership with us Scrum Masters. And when that partnership isn't working, then of course, then bad things can also happen. So first, we want to focus on what might be a bad example, an anti-pattern in the product owner role. We'll dive into a good example later on, but for now, share with us, Priyanka, what might have been potentially the worst anti-pattern you've seen in the product owner role.
I just want to start as Agile is always, we say the faster feedback loop, and the next scenario or the story or it's completely related to this and you can relate that. So for one of the Scrum team where the PO was playing a dual role, he or she, the PO was PM for the multiple products and PO for a Scrum team where I was a Scrum Master, right? And as you know, when a person plays a multiple roles, it was really difficult for the PO to give time to the Scrum team, and PO's availability was a big constraint for the team. Somehow the team managed to run the sprint execution and all with the very little availability of PO. But the one thing the team suffered is PO used to come only during the review meeting to see what team has done. And the feedback from the PO to the team for the work done was only during the review meeting. And the sprint review is like on the last day of a sprint, right? There was very less time for the team to go back and work on those feedbacks, right? And it really caused the delay in the feedback, which is like the main aspect of an agile. We need the faster feedback and disengagement between the team and the PO. The team member keep asking the POs, we need your time. Can we show the work which we have done so that we have the quicker feedback and we can implement if any feedback is there during the sprint execution itself? But PO never came, right? And this was a big blocker also, and this resulted to the demotivated team members. And the team members told me as a Scrum Master, if PO does not have time for us, if we are getting feedback only at the end of the sprint, then why do we say in Agile we have the faster feedback loops, PO is available for us? And these were the challenges by the team members, and they had shared in the DSM or in the retrospectives also. As a Scrum Master, I had one-to-one discussion with the PO. I wanted to understand PO. First of all, I told the PO that if the PO is like 100% for a Scrum team. It's a dedicated role. It's not a part-time role for a Scrum team, right? And it was a new team. So when you have a new team, we really have to spend time with the team, right? To clarify, to help them, to support them. And that time, what I identified, PO was not aware that PO has to work with the team throughout the sprint, because it was the first time role for him. For PO, it was more like only during the sprint review, I'll come and accept the stories. So then I started coaching PO. I explained him what is the role of the PO, that throughout the sprint, they have to track the progress of the work which is done. They have to come talk to the team if the team needs any clarification, if any work done by the team, if they can show to the PO to get the quicker feedback. And then as a team, we changed our ways of working. And also one more aspect we introduced WIP limit for the column pending for the PO's acceptance. So it was like we asked PO that, okay, I mean, it was a group discussion, okay, how much WIP limit we can give. So it was either 2 or 3. And that really helped the PO, okay, this column is mine. I have to focus on this aspect. Also, one of the suggestion was there from the PO itself that came when the PO realized because of the delay from the PO's feedback. And eventually it is delaying the delivery also. PO mentioned that as soon as you are done with the story, definitely you move to my bucket. But please set up a 15-20 minutes meeting, because if the meeting is there in my calendar, I'm definitely available for you. And it was assurance from the PO that he or she will accept or reject, so that we are aware about it. This really helped.
Absolutely. I think you went through quite a lot of great tips. Definitely, if you haven't noted them down, please listen to this part of the episode again, where Priyanka describes what she did with the product owner. And I think the kind of the example you just shared with us is one where the Scrum Master said, "Hey, there's an issue. Instead of just trying to figure it out on my own, let me talk to the people involved," right? And you went and you talked with the PO, and you discovered that maybe the PO didn't really understand what was expected of them, and so on. Like, and that's a great example. And then you together kind of came up with ideas. Okay, so here's how we can solve this, and the PO was part of that process, right? Was involved in defining what we do differently. For those of you that are interested, I also have a checklist you can go through. It's on the blog. I'll put the link on the show notes, that you can use to do exactly what Priyanka just did, right? It just sets out a series of questions and expectations that you can review together with the product owner to have this kind of conversation that Priyanka just illustrated. But now we turn our attention to the opposite, the mirror image. What might have been, Priyanka, the best product owner you've ever worked with? Describe them for us.
Definitely. I mean, for some team, the POs were new, and some teams, the POs were quite experienced, right? And they had already played the PO role, and they comes from the great experience. And also, the product owner who has really good knowledge on the product for which they are the product owners. So for me, I'm in the product owner. The skills the product owner should have, it's like the effective communicator. Communication is the key, as we all know, right? How agile came into the picture, because we have to bridge the gap between business and the team, and PO is the key, right, who really helps the team and the business to come together. So as product owner, if they can effectively communicate what business needs to the team and work collaboratively with them, it really helps the team, and at the end it helps the business also. The next part is negotiator. You would have heard, like, as a product owner, we have to find the right balance with desirability, feasibility, and viability. Desirability is like, as a PO, they have to listen the customer, right? Because customer is the we always say for the organization, customer is the first, right? So maybe customer has a huge desire, right? But do we have that feasibility? For feasibility, we have to talk to the team, we have to negotiate with the customer, we have to the team. Viability, based on customer desirability, input from the teams on the feasibility, the innovation comes as a PO, what will be my viable product. So this aspects also, I believe, PO should definitely focus on it. And one of the aspect I liked, I working with one of the PO, that PO used to ensure my backlog, team's backlog is well defined and prioritized. So and in those aspects I also learned from the PO. So it's not always Scrum Master learns, Scrum Master coaches to the product owner, but it was a learning for me also to work with the PO and the learn the different aspects. So that time it was more on the prioritization techniques. So I was aware about more on the prioritization techniques. It was like Moscow, Kano, and all. But that time I learned about the WSJF also. which we use in a safe, right? So that was I learned from the product owner, and well-defined stories. That product owner was following that, okay, we need to have an acceptance criteria and all. So that was a good part, and it motivated the teams also, because there was a clear understanding from for the team also what they have to build, why they have to build, and on what basis, which is your acceptance criteria, PO is going to accept those stories. These are the certain skills or the qualities which we expect from the POs to have, so that the team can work and achieve the desired product. One last point I would like to share, because I was working on a scaling framework, right, where we had a multiple teams, we had a multiple dependencies on each other, the teams and all. So as a product owner, this was eventually, I mean, as a Scrum Master, I had to coach or the teach the product owner that we have to always focus on the risk and the impact analysis. If the team is not able to deliver, it will have a huge impact maybe for the other team, those who have dependency on us. And eventually, it will impact the goal of your program or the portfolio also. So keep checking the risk and the impact. Was very very important aspect. Sometime product owner miss this, so I would say please focus on start focusing on those aspects also when you have interdependencies on the teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And in most organizations that are, a few teams, you will have this kind of interdependencies. That was a great list of skills that the product owners must have. So thank you for sharing that. For those of you who didn't write them down, you might want to listen to this again and write them down. That was great. Thank you for sharing that, Priyanka. Unfortunately, we're getting close to the end. But before we do go, do tell us, where can we find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
It's on LinkedIn, definitely. And feel free to contact me, message me, and it will be a great learning. I mean, I always believe that it's not sharing on the one side, it's sharing from the both side and learning from each other. So definitely through LinkedIn, we can connect.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And I'll put the link to Priyanka's LinkedIn page on the show notes so that people can easily reach out and get in touch and ask questions. So, Priyanka, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your generosity with your time and your knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vasco.
One more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast is over, but there's a lot more we have to share. We have developed our own membership site where you find a community of active and engaged Scrum Masters. In this site, you get access to exclusive content and get to interact with us, your podcast hosts, as well as the best Scrum Masters in the world. Join us at scrummastertoolbox.com/podcast and keep this podcast free of advertising. See you next week for one more week full of Scrum Master tips and tricks. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.